On to our next topic. Data from the CDC found that gun violence is now the leading cause of death in children. How do we reverse that trend while still respecting the Second Amendment? And if you could offer specifics, I'd appreciate that. Mr. Baumgartner, you go first. You have 1:30.
Yeah, that data is very alarming, and it primarily deals with children as defined as under 18-year-olds, and it's primarily an issue in increase in suicide. And so, there's a mental health crisis in America. It has been made much, much worse since the COVID lockdowns and the isolation that took place and the stagnation in reopening the American community. Too many folks and too many kids are just spending time on their phone looking at TikTok and then going home and being isolated and watching Netflix rather than doing community activities. So the mental health aspect, the community building aspect is extremely important when it comes to that suicide rate. I don't think there's anything more terrifying to a parent of kids than thinking that there might be gun violence at their school. We have taken steps both in the legislature and even as the Treasurer's Office. We've done loans to help our schools do things like single porting of entry and harder targets and safer within the schools. And there's some continued things we can do there. We also need to do a better job of prosecuting the gun laws that are already on the books. Very frequently right now, straw purchases that are made to, felons are prohibited from having guns, but often felons get guns because laws aren't enforced through straw purchase processes. So we can do some things there as well, too. But there's no silver bullet on those issues. But with respect to the children, it really is a mental health issue.
Thank you. Ms. Conroy, you have 1:30 as well.
Yeah. When I was a deputy prosecutor, I became aware that for some people living even in Spokane County, our most populous county in the district, some people, if they hear a noise out on their property at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on a random Tuesday, they're 2 to 3 hours away from the nearest law enforcement. So I understand that guns are a tool for many people, that they need to protect their families and their property. When I was on my way to Afghanistan the second time, when my friends at the 1st of the 1st Special Forces Battalion found out that I wasn't going to be carrying a weapon, that I would be relying on security personnel to protect me, they gave me weapons training. And every day, even with these men who were in the profession of arms, every single day when we started that range, we started with safety briefings and made sure that everybody knew what the rules of the range were and that everybody was going to follow those. Unfortunately, the National Rifle Association, which at one time was basically a gun safety organization to make sure that people who wanted to retain guns for hunting and to protect their homes and family, has become a gun lobbyist organization. And so we need to close loopholes to prevent violent offenders from getting access to weapons, make things like the red flag law available nationwide, and stop things like bump stocks, which unfortunately my opponent says that he thinks ought to be available to everybody.
Thank you. A follow-up now. Do you support a ban or any regulation on AR-style rifles that are often used in mass shootings, including school shootings? Mr. Baumgartner, you have a minute.
I don't support a ban on those type of rifles. They have the same functionality as any other type of rifle. They have a different aesthetic look, but the basic function of utilizing a firearm, they have the same function as any other gun. So I'm a strong supporter of our Second Amendment. Here in Eastern Washington, we enjoy our rural way of life, and that means being able to go out and hunt for many of us, and it also means personal security, and it certainly means the right to own a firearm.
Thank you. Ms. Conroy, you also have a minute.
Mark, may I ask you to repeat the question,
yes,
please?
Yes, of course. Do you support a ban or any regulations on AR-style rifles that are often used in mass shootings, including school shootings?
I do. I think that it's really unfortunate that President Trump passed an executive order that would have prohibited the sale of bump stocks, which was an accessory to a semi-automatic weapon that made it essentially function as a fully automatic weapon, so that people not defending their homes, not hunting in any sense of the term like we would normally use, people who are trying to kill as many human beings as possible, like the terrible shooting in Las Vegas, are the only people who are using weapons like that. So I would like to see restrictions along the lines of making sure that people know what they're doing, that they have a license to carry, and that they will properly maintain and secure that weapon so that it can't be used to commit a massacre.
Thank you.